Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Sally Pinto and I'm from the Yonkers NORC, Neighborhood Naturally Occurring Retirement Community. We launched back in January of 2020 and we're here to serve seniors 60 plus in Northeast Yonkers. We have lots of fun programs and activities, and we also have a lot of resources for you as well. Our programs include meditation chair yoga, body mind fitness, bingo, and any other programs that you might be interested, like arts and gardening. We have our resource specialist, Alexis Smith, who can help you with finding services and activities out there for you, as well as our nurse, Barbara Simone, who can help answer your health-related questions. We're here for you, we're here for our community, and we look forward to seeing you in our programs. Enjoy.
Hello, everybody. I'm Alexis Smith, the resource specialist with the Yonkers NORC. I'm here to help with application assistance, referrals for home delivered meals, and transportation services will be coming soon. We also offer Zoom activities and Zoom programs. And if you have any other questions or concerns, I'm here to help. Thank you so much and enjoy the program.
Welcome. I'm Barbara Simone, registered nurse. I recently retired from Westchester County's Health Department as a public health nurse. I am now here to try to assist you with any medical or preventive care issues. Enjoy this program, and I'm looking forward to working with you.
Thank you for joining us today. I'm Barbara Simone. I am the nurse, and I'm an RN, and Alexis will be speaking afterwards through this program at the tail end. So let's start by embracing the spring fever. Nature is going to start rejuvenating. The days are becoming longer and inspiring us to make changes no matter what our living situations are like. It's time to tune up, whether we live independently or we live in a senior community or we living with a family member. We need to enter that door, that spring fever clinic door, and there are some tips that are worth considering to enhance our health. Spring into health is an excellent time to make sure that our body is running at peak performance. Regular maintenance is really important, such as a yearly physical checkup with our healthcare provider, routine monitoring of our weight and our vitals, like blood pressure, having the relative tests that you need, glucose, cholesterol levels, or EKGs, and other ones that I don't want to mention, yearly exams. The eye exam should be done yearly. Your dental exams, I recommend every 6 to 9 months. Hearing is one that we really take for granted, but as we get older, it is one of the areas that is really important. If you're finding it difficult to hear the birds as we open the windows or catching what people are saying in crowds or groups, it is really time to talk to your doctor about getting a hearing test. Research shows that as our hearing decreases, we're being more isolated, and COVID is not helping this, but we're even more isolated of your hearings. And that can actually lead to worsening of dementia or memory loss. So it's something to really take into consideration and talk with your doctor, especially if your spouse or your partner or significant others or people around you saying, you're having problems or you don't seem to be here. Get it checked. There's simple solutions that really can help, and that will prevent some of the isolation. Okay, drink lots of fluid in spring, just like any other time. Fun fact is that the skin is our largest organ in our bodies. Seasonal changes can disrupt our skin chemical balance. Our skin wants to have a consistentness in the season, but because the weather changes up and down, this can really be disrupting to us. Also, with age, we don't always notice thirst changes, and that can lead to dehydration. Some of the symptoms of dehydration can be memory and concentration issues, increased fatigue. Some serious complications could be actually UTI or increased risk of fall. So we really want to prevent dehydration. Just take into effect that fact is that our daily consumption of fluid for a male should be about 15.5 or 3.7 liters. For a female, it could be about 11.5 or 2.7 liters. Water or clear liquids should be about 1/2 to 3/4 of that. So you want to aim for about 8 cups of water a day. You would like to use maybe herbal teas or fresh vegetable juices. Coffee could be part of your fluid consumption, but you really don't want to use it as your main balance because it dehydrates, or the fruity juices or the sweetened drinks. So monitor your fluid intake, especially while you're in outdoors activities, and make sure you're getting plenty of water. Also, now it's time to lighten up your diet. Replace the heavy meals that we crave in the winter with some salad, lighter fare, some soups. Cut down your red meats, stop using the processed foods. It's really a good time to add the beans and legumes into your diet. They are definitely high in protein and dietary fiber. They're great in soups and salads. Start replacing some of the white flour with your whole grain flour. Increase your intake of fresh produce as well as the healthy fats like olive oil or avocados. Take advantage of some of the springtime superfoods such as asparagus, peas, lettuce, strawberries. This is really a good time to start realizing that the lettuce and the spinach are a cool growing vegetable. So it's a good time to put them in a garden. Superfoods, they are real foods. They're not processed, and they have a lot of benefits. They maintain our weight, they fight disease, they prolong life by lowering cholesterol, reducing the risk of heart disease and cancer, and improve our moods. Many of the superfoods contain antioxidants, which can decrease stressors that are common to the disease of aging. They also another area is inflammation. So that's something to take into consideration when I'm talking a little further about allergies. But picture is some of the major superfoods. Some other superfoods that I've spoken about before is like our berries, the nuts, the dry fruits, chocolate. Remember dark chocolate. So as Easter's coming on, remember that it's okay that the darker the chocolate and the higher in content of chocolate, the better it is for you. And mushrooms. And there's some other superfoods such as turmeric, the natural teas like when spearmint and mints are starting to come up in the garden. They're great for putting in your teas or your lemonade and stuff. Again, I said the superfoods do decrease inflammation. So getting into inflammation, the waking of nature can bring spring allergies. Nature waking up, you're getting forth pollen, grass, and other environmental irritants, which humans respond to differently. We're all affected by the allergens, but some have no allergies at all, while others have mild to severe symptoms. And people who may not have really any type of symptoms when they were younger, some of these allergies can worsen as they age. Also, they can change season to season. Some irritants are more effective where you're living, or the certain spring releases certain allergens that last spring didn't. Symptoms of allergies are runny nose, itchy, worsening of respiratory conditions such as asthma. Uncontrolled allergies can lead to a sinus infection, breathing problems, upper and lower respiratory infections. How do we prevent them? Same way we're preventing COVID. Wear a mask. It decreases your exposure to the irritants or allergies. Taking over-counter medications can help with symptoms. It's also very good to take before you're going outdoors if there's going to be a high incidence of allergens and you're allergic to that. Your body is not going to be overreacting and being stressed out. Consult your healthcare provider for allergies that are uncontrolled or uncontrolled symptoms. Listen to weather reports or website. Often they predict what type of allergies are going to be very high and limit your exposure to outside activities. And keep your windows closed during those high times of allergy predictions. All right, so I've got to talk about COVID and spring. The pandemic is still very, very real. There's no herd immunity, and which means that we can still spread it and the virus around. Vaccine, along with social distancing, wearing facial masks, frequent hand washing, not touching your face, limiting the travel, are still the best precautions against COVID-19. And it's the only way really we can socialize within our community this spring. The herd immunity, it requires at least 70% of the US population having an acquired resistance against COVID, which in turn would decrease the spread of the virus and for variants to emerge. So if we don't get this acquired resistance, we keep on getting people who have COVID. COVID then mutates, and the more people sick, the more mutations, and that's where we're getting these emergent variants. So if we can get this acquired immunity resistance, then we can decrease the spread. Vaccination right now is the safest way to get the acquired resistance. Spring into vaccines. I'm just going to go over a little bit, but basically the CDC guidelines prioritize that certain groups be vaccinated first because of the limitation of supply. New York State is adhering to that. The federal government determines the number of vaccines granted to each state. New York was able to get approximately 300,000 vaccines a week for over 7 million people who were eligible. So it wasn't just 65 and older. We had teachers, doctors, nurses, first responders, healthcare workers. And now, as of last week, we have individuals who have comorbidity of any age or underlying medical condition. With the scheduling of vaccine changing weekly and vaccines becoming more available. So please be patient, but keep informed. The Yonkers Office of Aging, the NNORC, the Yonkers Public Library, Westchester County Senior Programs, we're all collecting material and we're keeping that available to you, and we're trying to get it out to you as soon as we get it so that we can help you out. Remember, the VA is doing veterans and it's just going to be a fluid. It's going to continue going. So vaccine facts. There are 2 COVID-19 vaccines available in the US that are right now licensed or approved, have emergency approval. Many are still in the works. They're still coming down with them. And some of them are proving to be very interesting, but we only right now have Pfizer, which has to be 2 shots, 21 days apart, and Moderna, which is 2 shots, 28 days apart. Some research is actually showing that the Pfizer might not need as deep a refrigeration, which means that we might get more supply, but it's still too early to really tell. They've been talking about whether we could just go with 1 Pfizer shot because it gets about 85, but that's still all very, very early in information. The vaccines cannot cause COVID. They cannot spread it. They're not a live virus. The messenger RNA do not interact with a person's DNA. They do not enter the nucleus of the cell where the DNA is located. Cells break the messenger RNA down quickly. Early evidence shows that both vaccines are effective against the new variants of COVID-19, not at the rate of 95. They're down to lower than like in the 60s, but they're better than nothing, okay? Having a COVID infection is more likely to happen than having a serious reaction to a vaccine. The 15-minute waiting period that they ask you to do after you get it is just to observe and ensure you're safe. There's very rare allergic reaction, about 1 in 100,000 people get. Vaccines are recommended for even people who've had the COVID infection, but they are recommending, it's not required, that they wait 90 days. The reason is because of supply. They feel that somebody who's already had the infection, within that 90 days, their immunity is still pretty high. So they do feel that If they could wait and allow somebody who's not vaccinated and make them a priority, that would be better. But they do recommend that you get it. Again, there's very little contraindication to the vaccines. Do not pre-medicate before you take a vaccine, because you don't want to interfere with your own body's response in making immunity. You can take over-counter medications after. And some medications that you're on, when you're talking to the vaccinating place, they may ask you what type of medications you're on. They really only decrease, like prednisone and certain things do decrease your ability to create a very strong immunity, but any immunity is better than none. And actually they're recommending women who are planning pregnancy, who are an eligible group, to get it. So that's how safe it is. So sorry. Sorry. So let's get off the vaccines and go on to increase your level, increase your activity, enhance your spring energy. Get outside, dress for the weather, put your walking shoes on. This is a good time to start thinking about gardening. Setting up a bird feeder. I actually just set up my my feeder with some nesting material that I took from my Christmas flowers. I put them out there because birds are going to start nesting. So it's fun to watch that, and they'll take some of the supplies. Join a gym if you're comfortable, but if you're not, take a virtual exercise class. Do some of your virtual classes if you can outside in the sunlight, because sunlight exposure is a benefit. Sunlight has shown to increase the melatonin or serotonin in our body, which is a hormone which assists us with sleep and mood balance. It reduces stress. It keeps weight off. It boosts the body's immune system, as well as strong bones. So it's really a very good thing to have. The trouble is that it's a mixed blessing. The ultraviolet light, unfortunately, radiation is carcinogen. So the way to cut around that is to please use sunscreen. Like I mentioned before, it prevents the photo aging, and it will decrease your chances of your skin and skin cancer. So active and connected. Keep seniors active and connected is the mission of the NORC, Yonkers Office of Aging, and the Yonkers Public Library. So now I'm going to turn it over to Alexis Smith, who will talk a little bit more detailed how we can keep you active.
Sorry, I was unmuted. The host had to let me in. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Alexis Smith, the resource specialist for the NORC. And like Barbara said, our main mission right now is just to keep our seniors active and connected during these times that we're going through. And we have several programs that we offer to keep our seniors active. Next slide. Here are some of our programs that we offer weekly or on a monthly basis. We have bingo, we have art classes, we have gardening monthly, and we have book club, and we have fitness classes. We also teamed up with the Wide Pie Tech Squad, and they can help to get on any of these Zoom programs if you need any help to navigate it. Next slide. Here are some programs in the works that we have for the Yonkers NORC. Transportation has been one of the biggest hurdles that we have had for the Yonkers NORC, and soon it will be here for our seniors in our area. But for now, we do have other agencies that can work with transportation, and I can also give you a referral or help you navigate paratransit or Access-a-Ride. But there's also some other programs through Family Services of Westchester that do Ride Connect. So if you need any further information, feel free to contact us. Next slide. Here is our weekly bulletin that goes out with our Zoom programs that we have. If you're on our mailing list, you should be receiving an email once a week from Sally Pinto. If you're not on our mailing system, please let us know, and you can leave your information in the chat. And if you want to get a bulletin like this each week, just let us know and leave your information email in our chat, and we'll gladly send this to you. Next slide. We have actually some great upcoming programs via Zoom this week. Tomorrow we have COVID and heart health with the New York Presbyterian Dr. Joy Roy Oman, and this will be tomorrow at 1. If you're interested, just let us know. We can send you the information. Also on Wednesday, we have what happens when someone dies without a will. This program will be via Zoom as well on Wednesday at 1 p.m. If you need that information, just let us know. Next slide. This is just like a calendar that we send out on a monthly basis, just letting you know the Zooms that we have for that particular month. And we usually send that out each month just to let you know the programs that we're having. Next slide. Again, we just want our seniors to stay active, and during these times, we have a lot of Zoom programs going on. If you're interested in any of these activities, just let any one of us know. You can contact Sally Pinto, you can contact Z Baird, and this is the information here. If you have any health questions, you can please contact Barbara Simone. If you need my help regarding any resources or benefits or entitlements that you think you may be entitled to, if you need referrals for meals or transportation, or if you just want to chit chat, or if you have a couple questions, feel free to call me or email me. And here's all our information. Thank you. Next slide.
Doesn't want to move through it. I don't know why. Hold on. Oh, there it is. Whoops. So I want to give a shout out to my daughter Rose, who helped critique and organize and provide insightful ways to improve upon my PowerPoint presentation. As a senior myself, I'm learning how to do this technology stuff, so it's a lot of fun to get the younger people to help us. So as I said, we have that tech squad, so don't definitely use their brains. It's their language. So
I also want to thank Rose Simone as well. Thank you for helping us.
So
Barbara, I have a question. Are any foods that you suggest for anti-inflammatory conditions? I have a somewhat arthritic knee. I'm a tennis player. I take some medication for it, but is there any food that's good for reducing inflammation?
that's an excellent question. If you give me a second, I'll look at my old presentation. I don't know, I'm not a nutritionist, so excuse me for just a moment. I'm not a nutritionist, so I'm not the greatest at, I just know that that's a fact. I'm just going to look at a past presentation because I do know there's some foods I did mention the last time. So give me a second, okay?
Sure.
So while Barbara is looking for that information, that's great information. Do we have any other questions meantime while Barbara is looking for that? As Alexis mentioned, we have a few programs coming up this week, so please join us. And I know you can find even more programs on the ypl.org website, but please join us tomorrow for Dr. Uman's presentation on New York Presbyterian, and also on Wednesday with Sarah Myers. She was a speaker back in the fall, and she will talk about what happens if you die without a will. I know it's not something anybody wants to talk about, but
we gotta prepare.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to thank the NORC because you've always been so responsive and proactive as well, because anything, that we've come to you with the library or the citizens of Yonkers were like, okay, let's try this. And NORC has always been willing to be there and try to make it work. So we really thank you all.
Thank you, Z. Great partner. Barbara.
Yeah,
that's
it looks
a
like
thing.
some of the nuts are good. And I'm just quickly looking at my old notes here. Dark chocolate, no. It looks like even,
Turmeric.
yeah, turmeric, yeah, turmeric,
Turmeric's
yes,
going to be
Yes.
mixing it with, you said a pepper, right?
yes, yes. Turmeric and pepper, yep, is very,
An
I just caught on that. I think even,
What kind of pepper?
black pepper, it actually brings it out better. Some of the, just looking at here, yes, some like peppermint, which is peppermint teas, some of that. I'm looking here, or is another one. It has some allergy symptoms. So I know I did research on that. But yeah, the turmeric I would say is probably the one that I would start with.
So let's talk more about the turmeric with the pepper. Would you put that in like beans? Let's say you make beans, would you throw it in there, and is that still good? What foods, or how would you put it in? How would you include it?
Hey, Rose, I'm going to ask you to come in on that one because you know more than I do.
Yeah, you can easily add it to a lot of different recipes. Rice is a big one. Just, it makes like a really, really nice coloring to it. It's this like really beautiful yellow. My personal experience with turmeric, I drink it in tea. I will cut up ginger, I cut up turmeric, I add like a spoonful of honey, sometimes like cinnamon, and I don't add black pepper, but I usually add cayenne pepper, but I would not recommend that. It's very spicy, so black pepper would be the recommendation. And I don't really add any tea with that. That is just the kind of tea mixture that I would make with just hot water.
Yeah.
You need to do that slowly. It's an acquired taste.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
take hot water and start doing that and think you're going to love it.
Yeah. Add maybe more honey
Right.
and slowly decrease.
Mhm.
How much turmeric would you start with, Rose?
Tablespoon?
Honestly, if you can get when I use like the ginger, I'll use like fresh ginger. So I haven't used fresh turmeric, but that might be a really good option since you can pick it up at the grocery store, depending on which grocery store has it. But I typically just use organic powdered turmeric.
About a teaspoon, tablespoon?
Yeah, recently I've used like, I think like maybe like half a teaspoon would probably be recommended at first. I usually only use like a couple of shakes of it. It's not really like, it will just like do like 2 or 3 little like pours with the plastic piece on top of the spice mix. So not too much.
They actually make teas now that have turmeric already in it.
Yes. It's a much easier option.
Rose, why would you take turmeric? I'm asking about anti-inflammatory, but what would be the reasons a young girl would take it?
Yeah, no, I like to have like different kinds of teas. I like to I'm trying to reduce caffeine, and coffee has definitely been like a anxiety trigger for me. So I've reduced it, but I like to try a lot of different decaffeinated teas, and that just was one of them that had a lot of like great benefits. I don't have any inflammatory or anything, but I just take it for taste wise, personally at this time.
It's also a great preventive for having your life be anti-inflamed is a good thing, even if you don't have a specific painful area. I throw it into shakes. I'll make a shake with kale or spinach, Greek yogurt, banana, some fruit, and protein powder. And then I'll throw in, few shakes of turmeric, sometimes cardamom, and cumin sometimes, because all those spices and variety of spices are good for you. But having anything that's an anti-inflammatory base is really good for you, and it helps prevent having painful areas.
And I just found some other notes. Cherries was another one that I found that had anti-inflammatory. And then acaberries, ACAI berries.
Acai.
Berries too would be a very, those are areas that also
look like osteoarthritis and arthritis that I noticed in my notes.
What I had remembered about your notes too, that the acai is even good for diabetics. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
Again, any of the natural
have acai, so I think I should.
Yeah, any of the natural fruits, you know, in moderation it's better than, you know, as you said, having sugar or processed food, even for a diabetic or anybody with any type of chronic condition.
Now,
So-
Julie has a question. Is turmeric similar to saffron?
Not really.
No.
Tastes
Rose, you can answer that question.
No, it's
I
not.
don't. Yeah, it
It's not.
doesn't sound,
Yeah,
no.
Mm-mm.
It's not-
Saffron is a, isn't that like an oil almost, or saffron oil, I know?
They look very
Not
similar, but they're
cheaper.
not.
Okay,
It's a lot less expensive. Saffron costs a fortune.
Yeah.
okay,
Cheaper.
yeah.
Sue has put a Better Bones blog on there as well. Okay.
Right. And you know, the biggest thing about anything adding things to your diet or whatever is you don't need to do a complete overhaul. Just
Right.
think about, you know, like cutting out more of the, you know, if you're out to dinner, go for more of the fresh foods that are made, like, or go for a salad, adding nuts to the salad, things like that. Even, you know, even as I said, in the spring, salad's a good time. So this is a good time to take, you know, and start using the beans. I can't think of the ones I'm thinking about. Would be, you know, putting beans in your salad. And
Garbanzo beans is a good bean to put
yeah,
in your
garbanzo
salad.
beans. That's what I was going to
Mhm.
say. Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking a Sesame Street and garbanzo. But yeah, it's a good time to add, you know, add those things to you. They do fill, you know, they do help. So, you know, if you have a choice of having a more fresher meal, that's a good thing to do. You know, when you're making soups, try to make it more from a vegetable stock. You know, you can make, they're better. It's a better soup if you can, instead of a meat stock. So.
I just thought of something else that's a good thing to avoid that's very inflammatory. I forgot because I don't eat it anymore. It's cheese. There are certain cheeses that are really okay to have, goat cheese, feta cheese. But when you start buying those blocks of cheddar, like I get the cheddar at Costco and just munch on it for days, there's so much inflammatory stuff in Swiss cheese, cheddar cheese, those block cheeses that taste so good. They're really not great for your health.
No.
And sometimes dairy can be very inflammatory. So go for oat milk, and not even soy sometimes. Do oat milk and almond milk and not regular milk, because those can also be inflammatory.
Yeah. Actually, my daughter introduced us to oat milk, and it's supposed to be more environmentally better, and the way they produce it. But it was also, it's creamier. Sometimes it's creamier. Yeah, switching over. I noticed as I've gotten older, I'm not as comfortable with the, I can still drink milk, but I'm using almond milk, and I'm using.
We all grew up with those drink milk commercials and those white mustaches, and those are funded by an industry that convinced us that the only way to be healthy was to drink milk and feed our kids milk. But our kids did much better on breast milk, and those milks are not meant for humans. They're meant for cows.
Oh yeah, you're right on that one. Don't get me on that.
Think about how many people we know that drink lactate because they couldn't handle the regular milk, and we took that, you know. So now people are waking up and realizing that regular milk is not the best thing for us.
Yeah. Yeah. And it, you know, in moderation, again, it has certain vitamins in it, but it's definitely better to give a kid a glass of milk than sometimes soda.
Oh, absolutely.
Probably give them almond milk if you can, or you get calcium in a lot of different foods too. And there's a lot of fortified foods. So, you know, sometimes that's a better. And actually, I grew up in whole milk, and I'm trying to convince people that skim milk has got higher higher calcium in it than whole milk. So there's, you know, but you're right. It's probably better, you know, to just look at things, make small changes, very small changes, and make changes that you like. Like I've learned to eat more nuts, and I've learned to eat beans.
was something I didn't grow up on. My husband being Italian eats more olives and the beans and stuff. So, and then of course, my 2 daughters have taught me to eat a lot more healthier. You know, so it's, you know, talk to people, you know, it's a good thing to talk about your diet, because people can give you different suggestions and that are, you know, healthier.
Awesome, awesome. Does anyone else have any other questions? This has been so informative, and I love that people can contribute. Sue, thanks so much for all your contributions.
Yeah.
And Rose, thank you as well. It's great to have you, and thank you for getting up so early. I know you're in California, so thank you.
Yeah.
It's not too early. It's only like
She's
10
not
here.
dealing with the snow.
That's all
I'm not gonna tell
right.
you what the weather is here. It will just
That's all right.
Stop, it's raining.
It's okay.
Yeah.
So if no one has any other questions, Z, do you have anything to say? So close it out, or?
Yes, just it's really good. People are great resources, as are books and websites. Just make sure that you're always checking your facts and, you know, looking at the source, because it's always good to always get a second confirmation. You know, one doctor might think one thing, one person might think one thing, one philosophy of dieting is one thing, but it's always good to compare notes. And I love the idea of exchange. Like, somebody tried this with cooking, somebody tried that out. You know, trying things out is important too. So thank you, everybody, for offering us this wonderful opportunity to talk together.
Mm-hmm.
Great point. Always, when you go to your doctor, as Barbara had mentioned, and you get your blood work, that might come out where you're deficient in a certain vitamin, and they might be in just based on your whole history, right? Because they know the whole you. They're able to tell you, listen, this is what you have to do. Be careful with this and that. And then if you feel any kind of reactions with anything, obviously call your doctor or 911 if it's a really bad reaction.
Right.
Okay.
And the other thing is that, you know, doctors might tell you what you're deficient in. They're not always nutritionists. So sometimes you need to consult with a nutritionist, and because they also have the time to decide what your taste like. You know, you're not going to continue eating something if you don't like the taste, if it's part of your upbringing or whatever.
Right.
Talk to somebody who might help you culturally eat the foods that would be more beneficial than you know, what's not going to work for you. You don't eat it, it's not going to work for you. You're not going to get the nutrients you need. So
That's a great point, bringing up culture, because we're all different cultures, and we're not going to go, you know, that's how we were raised, but there's health in all cultures. It's healthy food in all cultures. It's
yes,
that
there is.
We go towards the wrong side.
Yeah.
So it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm so happy that my team was able to join us and do this great presentation for us today. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Alexis. It's always great working with you and just getting information out to our seniors, plus everyone else. And thank you, Rose, for always being a part of our programming too with your mom. That's great. With your partner, let's say. That's great. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And again, thank you to Z and Mary and Phil, great partners with the Yonkers Public Library. I always let Z close it out, because I know be well, stay well, so I can't say it. She has to say it. Okay, Z.
That's funny. We're getting to know each other's catchphrases, right? So yes, like I always say, thank you for building our wellness community. It is so important not to be alone during these times, and everybody here on the Zoom, whether you called in on the telephone or you use the computer or your tablet or your cell phone to get onto the Zoom, we really appreciate you taking the time and spending the energy, because we have to support each other through this time. We thought it would be over by now, but it's getting there. But we just got to keep persevering and keep supporting each other. We're almost there.
Yep.
So be well and stay well.
Right.
There we
Bye.
go. So
All right. Thank you.
And good luck, Rose.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. This is Z from Yonkers Public Library. Thanks so much to Sally Pinto and Alexis and Barbara from NORC. Thank you to our community partners, WJCS, the City of Yonkers Office for the Aging, Westchester County Legislator Ruth Walter, Friends of Crestwood Library, and Yonkers Public Library for making this phenomenal partnership. And we thank each and every one of you for being part of our wellness community. Be well, stay well.